Alright, here we are back for our second match against a person with a pretty funny name, actually. We're going to go ahead and play first, and we're going to keep because this hand is pretty good. It's definitely cooking with gas. It's definitely cooking with gas. I have got to get the cooler looking version of Mod Conscripts, and when I say cooler, I mean the one with the cooler looking set symbol. But I am so lazy. Are we up against Affinity? No, we're up against Coldotha Boros. Okay. Alright. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play 2 more 1-drops. Just get as many creatures onto the board as possible. Since if I draw a third land, I have Goblin Heel Cutter to be able to have a reoccurring creature every turn. It's going to be fun. Fine. Looks like my opponent is on the 1-land plan, which is great. Alright. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play Goblin Heel Cutter with Dash. Make it so that my opponent cannot block. The reason why is I think it's better to use the Lightning Bolt to try and kill a Core Sky Fisher if my opponent draws a second land. Or kill that. That is also much better. It's also better now because if I draw a 4th land, I can make this not block and then possibly screw up my opponent's stuff. But that is not what happened. Okay. Well, I think dashing here is still better to make the Glint Hawk not block. So that way he has to double block to kill something or block and lose 2 creatures, which is obviously much better. And depending on what happens, I have a Lightning Bolt in my hand to kill him. Okay, so my opponent's going to choose to kill the Goblin Heel Cutter. My opponent is at 4. Meanwhile, I have a Lightning Bolt, so they're really at 1. And I was heavily able to punish their 1-land hand, especially because I was on the play. So, a main phase Lightning Bolt. That's particularly interesting. Valley Dasher. Alright, well, might as well play the Heel Cutter again. Pretty sure my opponent is dead. The reason why I play the Heel Cutter is because if there is something that I was not aware of, I'd rather be able to do both of these in the same turn. So, that was really what that was about. Now, as far as how to sideboard with this matchup, I'm not too sure because they can have multiple types of things. So, Forge Devil is not terrible against this matchup. I think it's not as good as Chain Lightning, though. Electrickery is okay. It's not the best. Now, Gorilla Shaman is something I do like because it can screw up their mana and all that. Fire Blast is not great. The reason why is I don't think that the game is going to really go that long. And also the problem is if they have something like Cop Red, or if they have you can't really afford dead cards in your deck in game 2. So I think the 3rd Mutagenic Growth is actually better for that. I could bring in Electrickery to beat the tokens, but there is a good chance that he's taking out some number of he or she is taking out some number of whatever that card is that makes white tokens, which I can't remember right now because I'm an idiot. And Chain Lightning it's okay, but it's not the best because they can still use it against you. So I think I am going to bring in Gorilla Shamans. I think I'm only going to bring in 2. I don't really want so many of them, I don't think. And I think if I was going to bring in anything to destroy tokens, I think Forge Devil would be better, but I think maybe I can leave it this way. I could take out a Porcelain Legionnaire to bring in the 3rd Gorilla Shaman, but I think this is probably going to be fine. This is not the best matchup by far because all they do is play removal and creatures that are bigger than your 2/2s. So I really want to bring in the 3rd Gorilla Shaman though. Just because it destroys clues, it destroys the artifact lands, but I don't think that that's necessary. I think we're going to leave it like this, and we'll see what kind of cards my opponent responds with. Alright, well, we're going to keep this hand. This hand is actually very good. It has 2 big threats, a turn 1 Gorilla Shaman in case my opponent has a clue or something like that. And it's got a Goblin Heel Cutter to top it off. Now we even have a 1-mana 2/2, so this hand has actually just got a lot better. Because now we can actually hold the Gorilla Shaman, and my opponent does not know we have it. Lightning Bolt into Boros Garrison? Yep, alright. Let's go ahead and go Valley Dasher. 4th land there is not terrible, but I really don't want to draw any more lands. Really don't want to draw any more lands. Okay. And a Galvanic Blast. Jeez. Alright. Well, I know that my opponent has a land that comes into play untapped. But I think what I'm going to do is play Gorilla Shaman and blow up his land. The reason for that is just to try and make my opponent go a little bit slower. Alright, well, it looks like... Okay, or that. That also helps. Them Galvanic Blasting that. Yeah, Lone Missionary. That is not a card you want to see coming out of this deck. Alright, we're going to go ahead and Chain Lightning. Especially right now while they don't have 2 red up. And we'll play Valley Dasher. And we'll go ahead and attack. I could just F6. Don't even have to do anything else. And we'll see what my opponent can do. I hope you guys can hear the steam in the background. I know you guys love it. That's not true. I know you guys don't. Ugh. Now, the problem with Lone Missionary in the sideboard of this deck is they have core Skyfishers, so... Alright, well, another Chain Lightning helps. And I'm just going to dash in the Heel Cutter. I don't see a reason to put it on the board. You always want to kill the Lone Missionaries when you have the chance because of the fact that they can return them. It's always a good idea. Just keep that in mind. So my opponent used a Firebolt, and the weird thing is they decided to play the Forgotten Cave, and I was wondering why, and then I noticed they don't actually have 5 mana. So they wanted to get to 5 mana, and they don't really have enough to keep the Forgotten Cave in their hand, which is interesting. I drew a Lightning Bolt. Alright, I'm still just going to dash this. Hold on a second. Of course, right as I pause is when the noise stops. That's, you know, classic Arctic Ghost stream. Oh, nope, it started again. Alright, so. Yeah. Alright, Core Skyfisher. Cool. Not going to Lightning Bolt that right away because I have Goblin Heel Cutter I have Goblin Heel Cutter anyway to make it not block. I am, however, going to kill the second one. I'm assuming that's going to return the Forgotten Cave? No. Wow, he returned both Prophetic Prisms. Okay, fair enough. So he drew a Core Skyfisher for the turn and had one last turn, which is interesting to know. Just going to go ahead and Lightning Bolt that. Water Brawl Cohort. Okay, well, unfortunately that is going to die to the Firebolt, but got to get that out of the way at some point. So it's either my opponent Firebolts, or they play 2 Prophetic Prisms and lets the guy live. Funny enough, if they have Electricity, it would die to Electricity, because right now it is a 1/1. Which is funny. Yeah, there's a Glenhawk. That kind of sucks. We're at the point right now where my opponent is getting to take over the game because they just draw more cards than you. Mod Conscripts is good, but the problem is if I Heel Cutter, I'm going to lose it to the Glinthawk. I think this game is all but about over. But I guess I am at 20, so there really is no reason to scoop. I can attack here. I don't want to just waste the Goblin Heel Cutter on dying to the Glinthawk. But we're very, very close to just the scoop phase of the game. Because my opponent... there's no way I can outrace my opponent's card advantage, so... Unless my opponent draws land for like the next 4 turns and I don't really see myself winning this game. Oh, that's interesting. My opponent attacked. I guess they forgot I had a Goblin Heel Cutter? Alright. Well, I just want to force through damage. Is really what I want to do here. So that's why I'm playing the Bushwhacker there. And my opponent is at 4. So, that is something to consider. Cycle 2 lands. Oh, and they play a 3rd Lone Missionary. Most decks do not play 3 Lone Missionaries. Jeez. Oh, man. I don't know why my opponent has 3 Lone Missionaries. I haven't seen 3 Lone Missionaries in forever. Well, when your opponent gains 12 life from the red deck wins point of view, you tend to, you know. I have actually dealt more than 20 damage, I believe. Right now my opponent is at 9, and they were started at 32. Yeah, I think I have actually dealt 23 damage in total, which is pretty cool. Porcelain Legionnaire. Okay, well that's not a bad one, but it just dies to Firebolt. So I'm wondering if I should just not play it. I think I'm not going to play it, and the reason for that is my opponent might be more inclined to use Firebolt on my Goblin Bushwhacker, which is going to save it from the Porcelain Legionnaire. And that is exactly what happened. Okay. So most likely I'm going to take 6 here, which does suck. There's really no point in leaving the Lone Missionary behind. Alright. Oh, well. Alright. I think we'll just play up both of these. And I gotta hope that my opponent doesn't have anything. If I draw a Lightning Bolt, I'll be in decent shape. Have to see. My opponent has Galvanic Blast and decided to BM me and not kill me. I guess they keep forgetting that I don't have that I have a Goblin Heel Cutter in my hand. I don't know. Alright, let's attack and see what happens. The reason for that is I want to see if my opponent blocks or doesn't block. Nope, okay. So they did remember I had a Goblin Heel Cutter and they just chose not to kill me. I don't know why. I guess they just felt like it. So since my opponent has multiple Lone Missionaries, I'm going to actually bring in the Forge Devils over the Gorilla Shamans on the play. I still think Mutagenic Growth is fine. I still think Chain Lightning is decent. Raise doesn't do much. The Fire Blast doesn't really do anything. Is there anything else that's not great against this deck? Still like the 4 Goblin Heel Cutters. I still like those. No, I think that's pretty much it. Just bring in 2 Forge Devils to deal with a couple of Missionaries. Alright, I'm gonna... Yep, there's the steam. Yep, there's the steam. I'm gonna keep this hand. It's not great. It is a 1-land hand. I am taking a chance. But it's pretty good for 1-land hand. Just gotta hope to draw a second one. That's really all there is. Alright, opponent started with a Secluded Step, which is interesting. Alright. I'd rather just play both of the Goblin cohorts there. Thraben and Spectre. Okay. Land? Nope, not land. Now this is a problem because if my opponent goes a Core Skyfish or something, I can't Lightning Bolt it and be able to attack in the same turn, so that does suck. Interesting. Okay. Alright, drew a land right on time. Get him for 4. Now, that is interesting that my opponent decided to block my Goblin Cohort. This is a person who knows their game plan is to just live. So that is something to keep in mind. And they return the clue. Do they not have another land? Oh, they do have another land. Oh, okay. And land. Something that requires a land. Alright, well, just going to Lightning Bolt this out of the way. And we'll get in for... What? I saw something... Wait, I saw something else there. Oh, Okay. I was just like, I saw something else there. What was that? A land there would have been pretty perfect, because then I could have kept the lightning bolt, but not the world that we live in. That kind of sucks. And another Ichor Wellspring. Sure. Sure. And cycling of a secluded step. Cool. And a cycling there, Forgotten Cave. Interesting. Land? Oh, another Valley Dasher. Alright, well, I'm going to play this Valley Dasher, and I'm just going to attack for 6. And my opponent can double block and block another one, or they can block each, or they can save it and go to 4. Alright. And we'll see what happens. So my opponent firebolted, which is interesting. What a brawler cohort, huh? Alright. Well, play Valley Dasher. Yep. Could really, really use a third land deck. I'm just going to keep pointing that out. My deck is not giving me my third land, and at some point the game's going to go long enough where a third land's not going to do anything, like right now. But, that is the bullet you bite when you play this type of deck. You get a higher risk, high reward type of thing going on, because you do need a lot of luck to win with this deck. You do need a lot of things to go right for you, in terms of you need to draw things in the right order, and kind of hope that your opponent doesn't. Alright, well, I guess that kind of works now, so we'll see what happens. Go ahead and play Forge Devil, and my opponent just immediately kills my... Come on, can you just kill my bundle cohort? Thank you. Don't make me wait. Like, I know he has it. He doesn't need to make me wait. Alright, we'll see what happens. It's funny, like, he couldn't tap fast enough, and then he was like, oh, wait, let me not tap. Oh, let me decide to do it. Just annoys me when people do that. Yep, I knew I was going to draw another land there, because my lands were going to be in clumps. And my opponent F6, which is cool for me. So we're going to make one of those not block. And my opponent can go to 2. So, yeah, what they're going to do is they're going to double block here and basically concede to if I have a lightning bolt or not. Which, unfortunately, I don't. So, we'll see what happens here. Ichor Wellspring off the top. Okay. It's all 4 Ichor Wellsprings. Wow. Okay. Opponent's at 3. And a lone missionary, because F my life. Porcelain Legionnaire. No, I still think that this guy's better. Did my opponent really draw something? They F6 last turn, and they didn't even play this guy. Huh. I'm confused. No, I think my opponent's just... I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. They F6 last turn, and then they didn't play this guy. And then they just played this. I don't know what's going on. Alright, opponent's at 2. Have only drawn 1 burn spell. Never mind, they're at 3, but 3 is the same as 2, so it doesn't really make a difference. Drew a land, so now I get to play the Porcelain Legionnaire after, at the very least. Gonna go ahead and try to attack. Of course, my opponent drew a Mole Spell right off the tizzle. And, alright. Wow, so the whole time they just had 3 lands in hand? They were 3 Windscarred Crags? No, wait, 2 Windscarred Crags. What am I talking about? And right off the top, a third Kodotha Rebirth! Oh, man, this deck is spicy. It only bricks when it really wants to. Lightning Bolt off the top or Chainlink still wins the game. How about a land? Yep, I knew it was going to be a land because forget it. I'm not even going to point it out. I'm just not even going to point it out. I just knew it was going to be a land. The cool thing is they can't kill my Porcelain Legionnaire, but they can block 3 times in a row. So, it's not like I'm anywhere near out of the woods right now. And now my opponent's at 4, so Burn Spell does not win the game. And my opponent gets to draw another card. Because this, I think my deck just loves the crap out of me. And another lone missionary. Alright, well, that's gonna pretty much be the game. There really isn't anything else that I can do at this point. Oh, well, I lied. I can draw that. And possibly wilt my opponent's defenses. Is that a... Wait, was that the correct way of saying that? I don't think so. Wilt my opponent's defenses? I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't really make a difference. Alright. Kill both of my opponent's dudes. My 3-1 dies, and now we're at parity, but my opponent has way more powerful cards to top deck than me. Oh, did he cycle? He did. He cycled into the 4th Windscarred Crag. Alright, one Pearl Cohort, go! Attack for 3. One will probably block my 1/1 Forge Devil. Yep. Pass the turn. And a Core Skyfisher! Damn you for being in play! Can you return the journey? No, can't turn the journey. Turn the journey there would have made me really happy. Just to point that out. And a Bushwhacker. I think I'm actually just going to say go. The reason why is I would just be trading my Mud Brawler cohort for the Core Skyfisher. And I think this has just more I don't know the word I'm looking for. This game is probably over at this point. Well, I'll tell you what lost me the game. These 3 lands right here. 1, 2, and 3. Those 3 lands is what lost me the game. Need a Heel Cutter for my opponent to have nothing. How about a land? Nope, not a land. That's not a land. That's actually not a bad card to draw. So we're going to go ahead and play Goblin Bushwhack. My opponent has a removal spell. He's just going to sit and think for a little while before he uses it. There you go. There you go. Yes. Yes. Sit and think. You know what it is? I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, Arctic, you're so salty. I'm not salty. It's just, I can already see that, like, you know, I'm going to struggle to win this game. And I just have to think, like, so, for me to lose this game, what does my opponent need to draw? They need to draw a removal spell, because they probably have one. It's just annoying when you can predict everything your opponent has and does. Yep. Okay, this game's all but about over. It's like every time my opponent bricked, I bricked as well. So there, like, I don't know. There was no point in my opponent bricking. I need a Heel Cutter for my opponent to have nothing, deck. Can I get one time? How about a land? Yep, a land. Alright. I'm gonna scoop. I don't think I can... Oh, it's not even gonna let me draw my next card! Why? Oh, that's annoying. Anyway. So, I had to get really, really unlucky in Game 3 to lose there, so, what's my verdict on this deck? After these 2 games, after playing it a bit off camera, after watching Littlefield play it, I highly recommend this deck. I think this deck's great, especially in the meta right now. I think that the sideboard does lack a bit in terms of you don't have many options for this deck. But that's the thing, you don't really have many options for Mono Red and Pauper. As far as sideboard cards go, I mean, you could either play Gorilla Shaman or you could play Smash Smithereens. Electrickery is pretty much a main staple. You saw why Forge Devil is somewhat good. I mean, Raise, pretty much what you got. You know, and then Flaring Pain is pretty much what you got. And then you got Mutagenic Growth. There isn't really much. This deck is pretty straightforward. It's very easy to metagame against. But... I mean, if you run into decks and leagues that are specifically metagaming this deck, I will be a little surprised. But other than that, I think that this deck is really good. I would highly recommend it, like I said. Would I recommend this deck over Goblins? I actually would right now. Again, because of Electrickery and Nausea. Now, I know what you're going to say. Goblins has 8 Goblin Sledders. That's very true, but the fact that when they play Electrickery or Nausea, you have to sack most of your board just to keep your 1/1s alive, doesn't really help when you can play a deck like this and just play a bunch of 1-mana 2/2s. So, you kind of get a little bit of a trade-off there. As far as maybe what would I add to the deck, You know, I'm not really sure. I actually think that this deck is just pretty much as good as it's going to get, the way that's built. The only thing that I could see is maybe moving one of these to the sideboard in favor of having a second Fire Blast to draw it a bit early. But then again, you might sideboard out Fire Blast against most decks, and you only need one. And I'm no mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that the math on adding a second one to the deck isn't going to help as much. So I think keeping it at one is fine. And the other problem is you're also going to lose a sideboard spot of something, which, I mean, I think that really the only thing you can do is go down to 2 Rays. I guess that's not bad, but I don't think you need to add a second Fire Blast. So, again, my verdict is I would recommend this deck. I hope you guys play it. Let me know in the comments if you do and how much you like it or how much you hate it. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Do remember to check out twitch.tv/CommunityPauperChallenge. We do our Community Pauper Challenge every Monday over on that Twitch channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a great day.